Hello, hello. What's going on? Hey, all right. I'm gonna take these ski goggles off here. They're not actually ski goggles, but they're an Apple Vision Pro that I'm testing out. But I will not be doing this video with the Apple Vision Pro. Oh my gosh, George Sanabria, what's going on? Good to see you here. I've got customers here as well. Danielle, Lynn, Dean, Kent, Jacob, Claudine, Matthew, Kevin, Andy. Oh, what's going on? Andy is in the house. Oh, I've got my fans here. Amanda, Joe Wynn, Justin, Amanda. What a great group of people. Dana, Jerry. Awesome to see you, Jerry, as well. We've got some customers here in the house. Maria Dean. We're going to get started in just a minute. Hey, Bart Carlson is here as well. Awesome. I've got my fans. So in the chat, just type in there, can you hear me and could you see me? Give me a yes in the chat. And also type in the chat where you're coming in from, what city and state and what business you're from. All right. Looks like you can hear me and see me Vegas, baby. That's awesome, George. Carlsbad, Boston, East Lansing, Michigan is in the house. Maria, Kansas City, go Chiefs. Awesome. Oh my gosh, it's a great group of people today. I love you guys. It is Valentine's Day evening, and I hope you guys have Valentine's to share the love with. We're going to get started. Great Tennessee. Hello, Lynn. Fantastic, guys. So we're going to get started in just a minute. So glad you guys are here. Want to make sure that we get the group who needs to be here to be here. All right, so as we're waiting, grab yourself a cup of coffee and type in the chat. This is the best way that we're going to interact today. It is going to be a group conversation. So type in the chat really what business you're in, and who your ideal customers are. That would be good to know. Type in the chat. This is a workshop. This is a masterclass. And I know I look really silly with these headsets on, but I'm experimenting as we all need to do with technology and stuff. So type in the chat what business you're in. Hello, Richard. Kesley, good to see you, Kesley. I'm glad you joined. Thomas, Marla, awesome. I know some of you. It looks like some of you I don't know. Looks like Dean, you're MSP servicing SMBs. Fantastic. Awesome. Andy, great to have you here. Awesome, awesome. This is a master class. This is a time where we're going to be talking, having conversations here, feeling like it's a one-on-one conversation, even though it's a group of us here. Hello, Christy from Dallas, executive coach. Um, because marketing is hard, and I think a lot of people go about marketing the wrong way. And today, this evening before Valentine's Day, we're going to be talking about winning hearts, winning your customers' hearts, the 5 shifts sales focused CEOs make to ditch brag marketing. You know the kind of marketing I'm talking about, the marketing that marketers love to do, but really doesn't help sales, but to gain customer love instead. Welcome, welcome, Lynn. Welcome, Judy. Awesome. There's a lot of folks here today. I'm so happy that we're going to have this conversation today. And I promise you that we're going to make this time valuable time that you're spending on your business, dialing in your story, which is the most important thing you can do, because that is either going to attract or repel your ideal customers. So, on this Valentine's Day theme, your homepage is either in love with what? Your precious solution or your customer's success. And from the outside, we know what that looks like. So I want to honor you for taking time to work on your business. That's what we're going to do today. And wait, what? Your hype brag marketing isn't working. Surprise, surprise. And there's a reason for that. There's a reason why you might have spent a lot of money on rebranding your website, but finding out that it's done nothing for sales. There's a reason for that, and we're going to go through these 5 shifts. Um, we have had the honor to work with some CEOs on fixing their story to make it totally about their customers and falling in love with their customers, and actually turns into sales much better than the other approach. And we're going to be talking about the 5 shifts today to help you actually do that. So welcome. Type in the chat where you're coming in from and what is your ideal customer look like? What's that profile? Because standing in between the innovation that you're selling and all of your ideal prospects becoming customers, what's standing in the way, do you think? Type in the chat here, what is standing in the way between your innovation, what you're bringing to the market, what you're spending, what you're in, many of you are in love with, as it were. What's standing in the way between your innovation and all of your ideal prospects becoming customers? Type in the chat. This is a workshop. I want you to take a moment and type in the chat, what is standing in the way? Hello. Hello, guys. We are here. This is not a video. This is a conversation. Um, Very different from other webinars that you might have had. We're going to be talking here. So I believe what stands in the way is, yes, the reluctance to change, a super crowded market from Dean and Andy. Yes. Um, a general distrust of technology. Yes. These are things that stand in the way. So I believe what really stands in the way of your customers becoming customers, your prospects becoming customers, is your message, is your position and your strategy. And that's what these 5 shifts that I want you to make so that you can be successful will have you make. And we're going to go through all 5 of them in this workshop, but it's not going to be a presentation. It is going to be a workshop. We're going to be talking about it. So stay on the chat and chat your thoughts as we're going through this, because this is a conversation. So what would you say now your marketing is in love with? Type in the chat. What is your marketing in love with? So here's an example of a website. It's a fictitious website. I am going to beat up a couple real websites, but this is a fictitious one that is absolutely something you've seen before. The leader in data protection, for example, powerful, integrated, scalable. What is this website in love with? Type in the chat. What is this website? And there's so many things wrong with this website. It's a beautiful site, very pretty, but there's so many things wrong, like learn more, get started. What does that actually mean? What do you want? What do they want me to do as a prospect? So the calls to action are terrible on this site. What is Velasso in love with here? Yeah. Um, well, I don't think they are in love with data protection. I think they're in love with being the leader in data protection. They're in love with themselves. And there's a reason why this doesn't work. This actually costs companies sales. Here's a real example. I'm going to beat up HealMed, transforming mental health care delivery. Again, this makes HealMed uh, look like they're in love with their solution. A digital assistant powered by AI embedded in a modern care delivery platform. I'm putting a love sign here, but really it's thumbs down for a site that's looking like this. So again, nothing wrong with the design, even though I hate the brains with the chips together. It's an overused image for AI. It doesn't do anything for you. But how well do you think your message cuts through the noise in your customers? Give me a number in the chat. In your customers' world, how well do you think your message cuts through the noise in your customers' world? Give me a number from 1 to 5. Got a threes, got some threes in there. Dean, Danielle, threes. So it could be better, could be worse. Yeah. So if your story isn't simple, clear, and compelling, sadly, you're toast. Your story is your business strategy. We're going to be going into these 5 shifts, and that's the common theme here. And if you don't have your homepage doing the heavy lifting, or your homepage is not your best sales presentation, your sales will suffer. Your salespeople are going to suffer, and your best salespeople will quit because they're not being supported. Marketers have let you down. Marketers have let me down. Marketers are going to market all day. They're going to do things like this. If you hire often marketers, they get fired in 12 to 16 months because they're playing by an old playbook. It doesn't work anymore. So, and many marketers haven't really sold anything in their lives. And that's just the truth, because they don't know that marketing is about having the right conversations. Yes, it's about having the right conversation. So what do I mean by conversations? How could a website have conversations, or a homepage have conversations with prospects? It does. And I'm going to show you why and how today. Marketing as hype doesn't work. Cheap hype officers fail, and they fail businesses. And if you look at some of the SEO work that goes on, you look at some of the language that are showing up on home pages like this: create, collaborate, communicate. This means nothing. It means nothing to Google. It means nothing to customers. So what should you do instead? What language should you use? What position should you take? This is all about these 5 shifts. So I'm excited you guys are here. This is going to be a cool class. So if you guys are excited to get started, give me a 1 in the chat. Kent, welcome. Mandar. All right. So make sure you put in the chat where you're coming in from, and we are going to get started. Maria, Dean, Leon, Judy, Michelle, Richard, Derek, Matthew. All right. Let's get started. So ground rules. This is not for spectators. Need to participate is for action takers. Success loves speed and action. Second ground rule, I'm going to challenge you. And after this masterclass, you will not be able to look at your homepage the same again. That is going to happen. There will be no replay here. This is a conversation. There might be an encore. At the end of this, I'll be giving away a PDF of a proven framework that has helped sell hundreds of millions of dollars of solutions. And you can copy that. You can emulate that for your homepage. I'm also going to be giving away an OpenAI GPT homepage evaluator link that you could use to get a 12-point assessment of your website with recommendations by a GPT that I programmed with the 12-part magnetic messaging framework. It is pretty mind-blowing. You're going to get that as a starting point to see what you need to change. So another ground rule, I will not pitch you. I will not try to sell to you here. At the end, I'll be offering an opportunity to book a free marketing sales enablement audit with you. And if you qualify, that is it. Does that sound fair to you? So if that sounds fair, give me a heck yes in the chat. Does that sound fair? All right. So this is a no pitch session. All right. So there's on the screen here, I'm going to just put up the area to book. Let's see, share. Okay, so on the top there, it says offer chat. So if you click on offer, that's where you'd book that session, just so you know. Do you see that? Is that showing up on your screen? Just somebody say yes if it is. And in the chat area, that's where we want to have you most of the time. You can also screenshot or take a picture of the QR code to book. Great. All right. All right, all right. So if you're here, it's likely because you're selling an innovation, which is awesome. You're my people. I love you guys if you are, or you're revolutionizing something in the industry. If that's so, give me a 1 in the chat. If this is you, give me a 1 in the chat. Welcome, Paul. Okay, Lynn. Okay, great. All right, then you are in the right place. But bad news, says who? And this is really where we're getting into the story of what is your homepage in love with? All right. So I've had the privilege of working with unicorn CEOs, have really done some breakthrough work. There's a couple of you here right now in the masterclass. I'm honored that you're here to support me here in this session as I'm sharing these 5 shifts with other CEOs. So my book is coming out delayed, but March 2024. Start with the problem, which is how to grow sales and lead your category in a market already flooded with solutions. And by attending this webinar, you should be getting a free e-copy of that before it gets for sale. So before the shifts, here's a CEO for a company who had stagnant growth, Warren. Good salespeople were leaving. Value of innovation wasn't getting across, missing forecasts. Afterwards, going from 137 customers to almost 3,000 in 12 months. Massive growth, and I am so proud that he's able to do that. Here's another example of a breakthrough innovation, peer-to-peer fulfillment network. Um, Before these shifts have been made, missing targets, bootstrapped with limited runway, couldn't invest, and afterwards have grown exponentially since 2022. So I'm so happy to see these kinds of results. So results do vary because it depends on a lot of factors. For example, is your product viable? Does it work? The lawyers would say, I can't make promises to you. It really depends. But having your your marketing done right is a key ingredient. And so this is hard because marketers are going to market. They're not going to necessarily be taking an adversarial or a prospective approach, a prospects approach. There are going to be blind spots. They may be using outdated frameworks. Alternatives still rule, which are alternatives to your solution. That's what's winning the lion's share of deals today. And the inside baseball that you use, the terms that you use to describe your solution, is very much lingo. So the stakes are high. I know a lot of businesses fail. I sometimes see, I think it's a couple weeks ago from the New York Times in 2023, 3,200 private venture-backed US companies have gone out of business. And so I know the stakes are high. And it's not because their products weren't great, it's because in a sort of an objective view, their story wasn't clear, it didn't cut through the noise, and it didn't resonate. And so even if you have the best salesperson, it may not save you because they will quit if they're not supported by a really great marketing message on your website, in your proposals, in your social media. ChatGPT won't save you, garbage in, garbage out, but it can help. And we're going to talk about how you can help make it work for you in this masterclass. So, who am I? I am Greg Rosner. I'm the CEO of Pitch Kitchen. And I like to say I help CEOs and a leadership team fix their crappy websites and their bad sales presentations. Have you ever seen any? Just give me a triple six in the chat so that they could attract their ideal customers. They can grow their business, even attract investors um, and amplify their marketing because there's so much bad marketing out there. My mission is to really help flip that script and turn it around. And I've had a lot of great experience helping CEOs do that in enterprise software and services. I've worked personally on so many sales presentations and pitch decks that have helped companies sell their services. And the pitch decks and the sales presentations and the homepages, they need to work in concert. They can't be duplicative because that's not how it works. And we're going to talk about that today. I've also trained a lot of salespeople because the way you sell today is different. So, who's your ideal customer? Type in the chat. Hello, Kent and Claudine. Shyam. Sorry if I'm not spelling that right. Uh, Type in the chat. Who is your ideal customer? All right. Type in the chat. Who is your ideal customer? How well you understand your customer is your biggest competitive advantage. So, who is your ideal customer? Type in the chat. Dana, healthcare organizations, CISOs and CIOs. Richard, consumer. So does that mean my mother? Does that mean me? Like that's pretty broad. So get really focused in the chat. Type in who is your ideal customer. Contingent workforce leaders in Fortune 1000 companies. I love that, Michelle. Really good. Derek, healthcare COOs, EVS managers. Chief compliance officers. Great. Really good. So I want you to keep in mind who your ideal customer is as we're talking about these five shifts, because this is who it's really about. This is who you need to be, and your brand and your message needs to be in love with versus your solution. So, who is this for? This is for CEOs who are bringing innovation to the market, CEOs who committed to their vision, CEOs and leaders of early stage or growth stage companies plateauing, leaders whose success depends on getting prospects to change, and CEOs are able to invest time and money into the business. There's one more thing I want to add to this, and that is your product has to work. It has to be viable. This is not for CEOs with a dollar and a dream. You actually have to have a product or a solution that works, or else this doesn't won't be appropriate. So if this is not you, you can tune out of this masterclass. This is not for you if you're not bringing innovation, you're not committed to your market. All right, and it's for the long game. The long game is really got to be committed in the long game. So my promise to you in the next 45 minutes, how to nail your sales message, even if your solution is complicated, how to turn your sales presentations into buying conversations, even if your prospects weren't even looking for your solution in the first place, why it's game over for traditional website copywriting, and how to close more deals faster, even in a recession or cash strapped market, and how to attract ideal customers and close them faster without adding headcount, without adding extra marketers, for example. That is my promise to you in the next 45 minutes. I will also, I'm promising that you can download at the end of this masterclass, and this is only for participants, a free, because this is going to be in the book, a free PDF magnetic messaging framework handout that goes section by section, exactly this, the conversations that need to be present on your homepage. I call these the building blocks for buy-in. And these building blocks need to be there as someone scrolls so that they understand that you have what they need and that your solution is exactly what they want. And it also deflects prospects that aren't perfect for your solution as well. So this is really a great framework for you guys to use. We're going to jump into the 5 shifts in just a second. Woo, that was a lot. So, are you guys? How are you feeling today? Valentine's Day is tomorrow. Type in the chat. Give me. I don't know. What's the number? 7 is a good lucky number. Give me a 7 if you've got a honey out there that you're looking forward to spending some time with on Valentine's Day. Give me a 7. Awesome. 7. Absolutely. Yeah. 7, and he has the flu. I'm so sorry to hear that. So I am also blessed and lucky. I have a 7 at home as well, a wonderful wife who supports me, and I'm looking forward to Valentine's Day as well. So to talk about business, I want your customers, your prospects who you love, I'm sure, to love your solution as well. But how do we do that? Let's get into the 5 shifts. But before we do, if you're here, you probably have an amazing solution. Your customers love you. They love you. But um, I would think, the entire market maybe never heard of you before. Most of the market doesn't know if your solution is right for them, or they may be confusing your solution with those that are nothing like yours. That could be happening. You and your sales reps are working so hard, explaining, demoing, configuring, and showing what your solution is like, and they're still maybe not getting it. You're feeling like it really should be a no-brainer for your prospects, but for them, it is a brainer for some reason. You maybe have a marketer who's spending a lot of time and money on marketing, but it isn't converting to sales. A lot of your demos aren't resulting in sales. Even 6 months later, if this happening to you, that isn't a symptom of the fact that you haven't made these shifts yet. If you've read these books, like from Seth Godin, This is Marketing. Another great book here is Gap Selling. Another great book that I don't have the screen is a book by Dr. Michelle Mazur called 3-Word Rebellion. If you've read these books, and one here from Donald Miller, wonderful, Building the Story Brand. So if you've read these books, but your marketing still isn't um, doing what it should be doing, or doing what you know it should be doing, and hasn't changed, then you haven't made these shifts. If you've got sales reps who are saying different things, like some are saying we're the best, or some are saying we're the only, but um, aren't really connecting with customers the way that they need to be connected with, and perhaps you're afraid to invest in more salespeople because you haven't really nailed your message. You're spending money on graphics and website design and social media and a PPC person doing a lot of sort of whack-a-mole marketing, but you're missing a single compelling story to rally people to your cause and to get them to love your solution. Then you're in the right place. If you have a sales deck that looks more like a math book, you're in the right place because you haven't made these shifts. If you're sending out presentations for people to look at, you're in the right place. You haven't made these shifts. If the language that you're using on your homepage sounds like this, software platform drives transparent, data-driven decisions to optimize the blah, 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 you haven't made the shifts. And this is another example, creating innovative workflow technologies that drive high reliability. So by looking at this, like, do you know what this company does? So give me a yes or no. Do you know what this company? It's all right, Paul. We got you. Like, I don't know what they do. So, this is a problem a lot of solution companies have, where they're in love with their innovative thing to the point that prospects don't even know what it does. And this is the problem. If you're using language that self-describes how awesome, how amazing, how beautiful, how seamless, how perfect, how scalable, how innovative, how best in class. Your thing is nobody cares. Nobody cares because nobody believes this. It's like a swipe left on Tinder. Nobody wants this. All right. So, you know, shoving more case studies and ROI calculators in people's faces, that doesn't work. And it doesn't work because people don't believe the facts. If you're thinking how your messaging could be simple in the light of the fact that your solution is so complicated, so complex, you haven't made these shifts and we need to go through them. If you're losing deals to maybe in the future as well, you haven't made these shifts. All right, so the good news here, and this is thumbs up, the good news. Hey, what's going on, Pradna? The good news is those are symptoms. Those are symptoms. The real problem is that you have not made these 5 shifts. But once you do, great things are going to happen. You're going to have confidence in every dollar you spend in marketing because it's going to turn into sales. You're going to lead your category, accelerate the qualification that needs to happen. Your team is going to be all aligned and you'll be able to create tons of 100% on brand content everywhere, every month without hiring anybody new. That's a tall order because that gets into the AI stuff. And this is not meant to be an AI workshop, but we're going to do some stuff at Shift 5 that's going to blow your mind about how you can use AI, use an open AI, ChatGPT, to just explode your content in a way that's 100% on brand. We're going to get to that at Shift 5. I just sort of let the cat out of the bag because I'm so excited about AI and using AI in business. Because if you're not, you need to be. Bottom line, attract ideal prospects showing up predisposed and ready to buy. All right, so let's get into the 5 shifts. Let's see who's here. We're at 15 minutes in. Oh, thanks for the typo. Awesome. We'll fix that. I have no idea what the typo was, but let me know when you can, Pradna. Awesome that you found that. So we got Matthew, Claudine, Dana, Mandar, Derek. If you guys are excited to get started, just give me some love. Say, are you excited to get started so we can jump in? All right, let's jump in. Thanks, George. All right. All right, so the first shift that you need to make is to lead a movement. Let's rock, Maria. Let's lead a movement. So, leading a movement is something you need to do, and it is going to help your customers fall in love with your solution. So, are you selling an innovation? Yes, you are. Many of you have. What does your innovation challenge? So, type in the chat, what does your innovation challenge? Or what does a prospect who wants to use your innovation, what do they have to stop doing? What does it challenge? Type in the chat specifically. What does it challenge? So just saying that you're different and innovative and disruptive just makes you different and a disruption, doesn't it? So let me say that again. Just saying that you're different and an innovation just makes you different and a disruption. Disruption. So, look at what Salesforce.com did in 2012, attacking software, the end of software. So this was really clear, the movement that Salesforce.com started, and they succeeded. And they did this awesome leading a movement thing. And I want each of you to get clear on the first shift. What is your movement about? Because if you're selling solutions, you're the enemy of something here. You're the enemy of the status quo. And if you just come in there with your fancy pants solution, no one's going to want it unless you do certain things right. So, Derek, staff shortage, HAI management. Great. That's what you're leading a rebellion against. Danielle, we challenge the lack of interoperability in building operations. Love that. Lynn, the way we've always done it. So what is that way that we've always done it, Lynn? Be specific. I'm going to challenge you to be specific. Dana, existing investments and status quo. Be specific, Dana. What are those existing investments look like? So the old way that you would sell, the old way of marketing is just making claims about how great your solution is. And that's taking the position of being in love with your solution, the old way. The new way, which is the only way that I think that works these days, whereas we're being flooded by solutions in the market, is to take the approach of the rebel leader who's encouraging your customers, your prospects to change and to basically say that the old way is dead. It no longer works and it will lead you to a road to ruin. And the new way, the new approach is the approach to take. And that is the rebel leader approach. This approach works when you're rebelling against something and you're leading a movement. So type in the chat if you know what are you rebelling against. So this is a masterclass. Right now, type in the chat if you know what you're rebelling against. Type that in the chat. So like Steve Jobs, he knew what he was rebelling against. What do you know that you're rebelling against? What change does your innovation require your prospects to appreciate in order for them to move forward, to do anything, to learn more, to buy? So, what is your contrarian ideology? Type that in the chat. All right, let's see what we got. Eliminate audits. I love that, Mandar. Unlock brand insights, revealing audience truths. So, what are you rebelling against, Mike? That's not clear. That's like solution focused versus problem focused. I want you to, what are you rebelling against, Mike? Uh, type that in. Delivery of brand insights, delivery of healthcare in austere environments. So, is that what you're rebelling against? Is that the thing that your customers are used to that's not working for them anymore? High healthcare costs, provider revenue. I'm not sure I understand that, Dana. So, in order to stand out, you got to be real clear and simple in describing what you stand for. And Simon Sinek nails it here. You need to be clear where you're describing what you want your prospects to stop doing, stop it, and what you want them to start doing. So this clarity on what your movement is about, what the old way is and what the new way is, that clarity is essential in leading a movement. Leading a movement is here for cognition is about a movement towards connected information. That's the new way, as opposed to the old way for cognition's clients is the spreadsheet world, which is just information. Sorry, it's data, not really information. So getting really clear on what movement you need to lead is the first shift. And if you haven't made the shift, you need to make it. Otherwise, you're going to get drowned in the noise in your industry. In our industry, I like to say stop hype marketing because this is the thing that doesn't work anymore. I like to say lead a movement instead. And the people who aren't enrolled in that journey, they are going to ignore you. And guess what? That's great news. That's great news because you don't have the whole market as customers. Here, in fact, the CEO of Azuba is on this call with us. This is his new website, and they have an innovation. And the innovation is helping insurance companies have meaningful conversations with the doctors that are providing care to their patients. And this is an awesome rebellion that Azuba is all about. So, sales is an act of leadership. If you believe this is true, give me a 3 in the chat. If you believe that sales is an act of leadership, give me a 3 in the chat. Yeah. So if you're going to lead your customers, you need to lead a movement. And that's something that your salespeople should feel happy and excited to get around. That's something that should show up on your homepage, in your proposals, in your social media, in your emails, everywhere. This is an essential shift in your marketing. So if this makes sense to you, just type in make sense in the chat. So think about what would your TED talk be about? What a world where what? Type in the chat here if you know what the world would be like if every every person, every business, every organization that needed your innovation had it and they were using it. What would that world be like? And so getting clear on this world, I'm going to just put a heart on this. Getting clear on this world is going to help you lead this movement, lead movement. So look at the Airbnb, live anywhere. Like, love that. Live anywhere. Of course, that's aspirational. Nobody really can actually 365 days live on Airbnb. Well, maybe some people do. But like those two words, live anywhere, is an aspiration of a world that they're creating, a world where people can, if they wanted to, live anywhere. So cool, right? It's so clear. So I call this a buyer's mission statement, which is in essentially 3 words or 5 words tops, sometimes 2 words, 2 words like Airbnbs, live anywhere. So looking at these, what do all these have in common? These hashtags. These are buyers' mission statements. Type in the chat if you can tell what do all of these buyers' mission statements have in common. Oh, I love that, Jerry. Unbreakable connectivity. And I know in the context there, you guys are selling satellite communications. That's great. So they're all a call to action. Yes, George, they're a call to action. Because isn't that what sales is about? Forget marketing. Isn't that what sales is? Helping people change, calling your customers to do something different from what they were doing before. So many marketers don't get this. They think it's about the colors or the design or about just how shiny they could make it. But it's not actually calling people to do any freaking things differently. Marketers have to change that. That's my mission, is to help CEOs who have an amazing thing to sell that really is going to help their customers' lives, their businesses, their organizations transform to a better place. Actually do that. And it's through the right message. So these are some great ones. So if you know what your buyer's mission statement is, type it in the chat. Or if you're experimenting with one, type it in the chat. I'll critique it. I'll give you some of my thoughts right now. Type it in the chat. What is your 3 word, 5 word, 2 word mission statement? Type it in the chat. Let's see what you guys got. It should sound like a battle cry, like Arnold in Conan the Barbarian. Do it now. Actually, just do it is taken by by what, Nike, right? So what is your battle cry? Type it in the chat. Be the source. Cool. I'm not sure what that means. But unless you know that just do it is Nike, it doesn't make sense either. But you'll know if it feels right. Secure all assets. Oh, I like that. So world-class team, I don't like that. Mary, do you know why? Because that points to a noun. There's no action there. So this needs to be an action. It needs to be like saving your science is not an action. It's a verb. I would say save your science, but I'm not sure what the context is there. Yeah, so action. So look at Zoom Info, hit your number. Now, you know what Zoom Info sells. They sell data. So their 3 word leading a movement is not buy our data. It's hit your number. Why? Because with their data, guess what you can do? Oh, I get it now. Yes, this works. If you this is beginning to make sense, type in the chat makes sense, and we're going to jump to the second shift you need to make. Type in the chat makes sense. Okay. Nobody likes to change. It comes down to risk. And there are a lot of people here who, when I say your prospects, the risk of changing is just too great for them. And you're going to be the enemy of those people. So just ignore them. Focus on the people who realize already that perhaps the risk of doing nothing is too great. All right, so Jeff Aronson, founder of EquipX, before he made this shift, confusing marketing content, sort of whack-a-mole marketing, letting key partners, investors down, and losing deals to no decision. This is their before website, and there's nothing wrong with the design, but the words, which really are more important than the design, did nothing for sales. After making this shift, tripled revenue, pipeline has grown. So grateful that the business vision is materializing. And this is what it looks like after the fact. The call to action is specific, like get your equipment performance snapshot. Who doesn't want that if you're a hospital manager? So it's very specific to their customers. And the transformation of turning underutilized something, equipment, into something awesome is that story. So lead a movement, lead an uprising, same thing. Does that make sense? It sounds like we've got it. Take the hill. Love that. Take the hill. All right, so let's unlock number two. Start with the problem. So why not start with the solution? Here's a picture. What do you see on this picture? Why not start with your solution? Just type in the chat. Why not start with your solution and how great it is, how awesome it is? Yeah, why not start with your solution and how awesome, how amazing, how foolproof and seamless and integrated and how awesome? Yeah, why not start with it? What are you seeing here? And this is just the marketing technology landscape. I'm sure that your landscape is similarly crowded. And even though that you can show differences, a lot of your prospects can't see the differences. It's all just noise. So solution marketing doesn't work anymore because it doesn't answer these three questions: why change, why now, and why should they change with you? The old way of pitching, it starts with the solution. The new way is starting with the problem. It's creating the um, the need to have a solution in the first place. That is what catches people's attention. That's magnetic. So we help companies struggling with lead generation. That's not us, but just the idea is, instead of saying we provide lead generation services, saying we help companies struggling with lead generation, that is a pitch that starts with the problem versus we help companies generate more leads. So does that make sense? Type in the chat that positioning your solution as a uh, something that helps people solve problems is better than just leading with the solution. So there are going to be people here that you need to ignore and people that you need to educate, influence, and then encourage along this curve. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this curve, but do you have any questions about this chart here? Ignore, educate, influence, encourage. Type in the chat here if you don't understand this, or if you have any questions about this chart. All right. So this is an example of a before, an accounting company, accounting for the pace of change. What even does that mean? What does that even mean? Like, nobody understands this. It's kind to be like fancy or something. This is the same accounting firm. Get the right technology advice, get the right financial advice. So this makes sense. It's about what Bennett Thrasher is doing. They're in love with their customers. It's about helping them. It's so much better. So type in the comments as a workshop here if you know what the number one problem your customers have. Type in the chat now. What is the number one problem your customers have? This is a trick question. Okay, I'm telling you now, I'm warning you now in this masterclass that it shocks me how many CEOs, leaders of companies that are so dedicated their lives to building their companies cannot articulate the number one problem their prospective customers have. So let's just see. All right, um, Mandar, sales growth. So bad news for you, Mandar. That is not a problem. Sales growth is a goal, not a problem. Okay, Mary, bad news for you. Closing business fast is not a problem. It is a goal. Okay, so sorry, bad news for you. Um, give me another one. Come on, folks. What is the number one problem? I mean, this is shocking. This is a shift that you need to make. If you can really just focus on the problem, and that's the only reason why your prospects are going to buy. They're not going to buy your solution. They're going to buy because their problem is in their face, in their organization's face. So, George, trust. Trust is not a problem. Lead to revenue. That is not a problem. That is, what is that? Lead to revenue. I don't know what that is. That's maybe you need more words to describe that. Dean, manage complex IT that is not their core business. Yes, that is a problem. Having to manage complex IT that is not core to their business. Cost of getting money. So that's a fact. That's not a problem. So look, I'm going to spend another 12 seconds on this. This is a shift that you haven't made yet, even in this masterclass. It's shocking. So Matt, managing communications across multiple channels is time consuming and inefficient. You can probably word that better because what does that problem look like? What does it feel like? What are they seeing? What are they hearing in their world that is the problem of of that showing up? So, Richard, time and attention to secure resources and implement change. So, is it, I'm not clear on that either, because is that a lot of time, a little time? And what's the impact of that time and attention? Like, what's the problem look like? So, you see what's going on here, folks. This is actually a hard shift to make. And I understand we as solution providers, we as CEOs and innovators are so enamored and in love with our solution because it is awesome and I'm sure it's great. We really are forgetting in our marketing, in our messaging, in our sales conversations, in our proposals, in our emails, in our social to be grounded in the problem. So I get it. So, Dana, higher costs of providing services that lead to the best outcomes. So, I'm still not feeling the problem there. It's like high costs, but so what? So it's high costs. And maybe that's a necessary evil, but it's not a problem. So it sounds like that's something that a lot of your prospects are going to be happy to deal with because that's not really it's not really a thing that's creating a trigger for them to do anything about. Legal work is slow from project and expensive, but important. I don't know. Guys, you're all getting C's and D's here. This is an important shift to make. And if you just like, well, we're just telling our customers what the facts are. So, quick question, type in the chat. Do facts change people's minds? Yes or no? Do facts that you tell them change their minds? No, they don't. They don't change people's minds. Managing hospital acquired infections and cost of same. So managing hospital acquired infections, that could be a problem. I'm not sure of the context. One of the biggest, from Mike, one of the biggest customer problems for airlines is often related to flight disruptions and delays. So flight disruptions and delays that do what? That cause, like, what's the impact of that problem? Let's get really clear. Anyway, you've got it. You understand that this shift has to happen. Got to start with the problem. Nobody cares about your why or about your solution. They care about their problems and solving them. And if they're confused on your homepage about what the hell you're selling, the confused mind just says no. And the people, we all believe in things that we decide, not the things that you tell me. I'd like to decide. I can't be brainwashed, sadly, because my brain is too messy, and you can't tell me what I should think. But if you can describe to me my problem better than I can even describe my problem myself, I'm going to believe automatically that you've got the best solution for me. So I'm going to read this again. If you can describe, you should screenshot this. If you can describe their problem better than they can describe it themselves, they'll automatically believe you have the best solution. So um, it's so clear. You go to a doctor, and if they're telling you what's going on with your situation better than you can, like, are you feeling this? Are you seeing this? Like, yes, 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 you get me. Then their credibility and authority is going to be clear. So this is a wonderful website and messaging from ReadyWorks. This is the after. You saw the earlier one, the after making the shifts, where it starts with the problem, patience before paper. So could you imagine a hospital where doctors are just stuck in laptops, instead of actually spending time with patients? It's terrible. It's trouble for patients, it's trouble for doctors. So ReadyWorks is helping hospitals solve this problem. And I love this. It's so perfect. It's so great. And it creates the drama of what is at stake for hospitals and doctors and chief medical officers when they don't make a change from the old way to the new way. See how simple it can be? It is so powerful. Starting with the problem. If this makes sense to you in terms of the second shift, oh my gosh, we are nearly out of time. No, we're going to run a little overtime today. This is a master class, but it's important to spend a little time on this. So if this makes sense to you, that starting with the problem is a shift that you need to make, type in the chat, makes sense. All right, so who do we got here? Does it make sense? All right, does it make sense? Awesome, awesome. Mary, Dean, Mandar, Michelle, Pradnya, Mark. All right, what is your homepage obsessed with? So we talked about this. A lot of people want to make their customer the hero of the story, but it's hard to do. A lot of marketers thinks they can do it, but they can't. So if you want to make your customer the hero, what is your role? Type in the chat. What's your role if they are the hero? Type in the chat. What's your role? What's your brand's role? What's your solutions role? The enabler, the guide. Yes. How would you describe? Give them great people, provide the superpower. Yes, support, empowerment. That's your role. So, you know, uh, if you were to look on your homepage right now, who is the hero? When look at the language you're using, if you're using language like this, if and be honest, who is the hero? What enemy would you and your customer both have in common? So type in the chat if you would know what's the enemy that both you and your customer both have. We are the sidekick. So the enemy is a character of the story, and it's something that you're rebelling against. And this is triggered in the movement, the leading a movement thing. If you know what you're rebelling against, what you're leading the movement to, your enemy should be absolutely clear. So the voice that you're using is really how we're going to make you better versus why we're the best. That voice needs to show up. So I just saw MailChimp's homepage. Love this. Turn emails into revenue. It's a transformation story, taking the position of the guide, telling the hero what they need to do to get more revenue. So it's wonderful. Win new customers with the #1 email marketing. It's great. So they have credibility here and everything. Here's an example of a bad website. AI human interaction, creating a better world for tomorrow. Oh my gosh, positioning themselves as the hero. Who cares? Nobody. This is the after, same company, but it's positioned as the guide, giving doctors superpowers to bring this emotional artificial intelligence to patient encounters through a telemedicine platform. Very cool. I get it. And so do their customers. So if you think about what you're really selling something that's helping your customers who have a problem, which we need to get better at using words to describe, to a future state, a place, a promised land, if you will, where not only have they overcome that problem, but they have achieved their goal. So your solution is not something that they're really buying. What are they buying? Type in the chat if you know what your prospects are really buying. It's a little bit esoteric, but I believe in you guys. I love you. What are they really buying? Yeah, Richard, peace of mind. What are they buying? Making the problem go away. Right. But it's not just making the problem go away, because once the problem is away, what happens? What's in its place? What's taking the place of their problem? Yes, success. Yes. Those are the things. So I'd like to say that what they're really buying from you is change. Changing from where they currently are to where they want to go, to how they're doing things today, to how they want to be doing things. And this gets back to our chart, where there are folks who the risk of doing nothing is going to be greater than the risk of changing. Those are the people you're selling to. You got to ignore the rest. All right. So let's get into here's a quick case study I don't have time for, but just suffice it to say, uh, Patricia doubled sales after making these shifts. All right. So if this makes sense to make your customer the hero, give me a makes sense in the chat. All right. So number 4, thanks, Joe. Thanks, Joe. And again, we're going to almost about 10 more minutes here. We're going to get to the 5th shift. But before that, let's get to name your category. So your category is the 4th shift. This is what you need to do. So what do we mean by, does anyone type in the chat here? What is your category? Do you know what your category is? So look at the telephone in the 1990s, the mobile phone in 2000s, the smartphone in 2010s. Who knows what's coming next? Here's my here's my Apple Vision Pro uh, that I can't really see through just now, but uh, so it's typically a prefix. The Apple Vision Pro is in a new category called spatial computing. So, there's immersive dining. It's not just regular dining, it's immersive dining. It's not just intelligence, artificial intelligence, it's conversational intelligence. So, how do you beat Bobby Fischer? You play him at any game but chess. So, create a game that you could win at by giving yourself a category that nobody else has, and so type in the chat if you know what category you're in that you want to put a new prefix on to change the game. So Apple is doing this. Spatial computing is a new category that they will have competition in, but guess what? They are creating that category. They're not just calling it mixed reality or VR, they're calling it spatial computing, not just regular computing. So take a look at these categories. Information driven category, intelligent recovery versus the old data backup. Um, a CCO, collaborative care organization versus a preferred provider organization, which is a PPO. You all know what a PPO is. Vextra Health has created a new category. So look at all these companies that have really, in the last 5 years, have really crushed it. They have added a prefix to a category and created a category in and of themselves and have dominated their industry. So naming your category is something you need to do. There's a methodology and a rubric to doing this. I can talk to you about the methodology, but you can probably figure it out on your own. So type in the chat here what your category, if you think you know what it is. So cyber resilience. So cyber resilience, I would say, is not a category. That is an attribute of a category. A category is an approach or a method that is new. So spatial computing is not an attribute. It's a way, it's a method. Medical waste remediation. Yes, that looks like a category. Cyber secure cloud computing. Cyber secure cloud computing. That could be a category. AI startup legal. That I don't know what that is. So type in the chat if you know what your category is. If you don't, that's fine. But this is the shift that you need to make. All right. If that makes sense, type in the chat. Makes sense. Vertical bioremediation. That sounds like a category to me. So bioremediation is vertical. I'm not sure what vertical is, but it's interesting, and it sounds like there's a methodology or an approach to bioremediation, which is the new way. All right. So number 5, use the secret weapon. And oh my gosh, like, is your brain about ready to explode here? I'm so excited to talk about 5 because this is something only in the last few months that we have started using and seeing. So the secret weapon is this. This is the 5th shift. Use the secret weapon. So type in the chat, have you been disappointed by the marketing content you get out of ChatGPT? So you get a lot of amazing things out of ChatGPT, but have you been disappointed by the marketing content you get out of ChatGPT? So yes, Joe Wynn, very, heck yes. Yes, Gigo, yes. So here is the reason why. Because um, because you haven't done this. Really, the secret weapon is an outside expert who's going to work with you to refine your story through expertly facilitated interviews using the most effective framework, redesign your homepage, your sales deck, sales marketing messaging that is conversation centric, using the finished framework as training data for a GPT to generate oodles of 100% on brand content. And so, garbage in, garbage out. This is that sales enablement ladder that we have developed. And if you look at here on the screen, the content generation, once you've done the work of the assessment, validation interviews, messaging framework, website wireframing, prototyping, and you've designed your new messaging, it's only then that you could upload to GPT your branded content so that it knows what to write about. But once you've done that, your GPT trained solution, trained on your solution, this is a game changer. That's when you can create a torrent of day after day content that's 100% on brand. So if you don't train a GPT with the right story, the right positioning and tone, you're going to get someone else's marketing from 2015. And if you've tried this, you'll know what I'm talking about. So it means you need to do these facilitation discussions like, who are you selling to? What do they want? What is their problem? And this is the kind of thing we're talking about at this masterclass. What changes are happening in the world that's making their situation worse? What do they believe around this issue? Really diving into your customer's world. What are the triggers making the status quo for them intolerable? So these are the facilitation prompts that need to actually happen in discussion with your leadership team. Once you have all these answered, you're sort of going through this hero's journey. Once then you're creating a document which is like the Bible for your company, which is answers to all those questions. And once you've created this Bible, this is what you basically upload into ChatGPT in ChatGPT 4, by the way, I might add, and you'll get a response like, "Are you ready, ChatGPT, to create content for me?" Absolutely. I'm confident in my ability to craft content for this company that reflects their strategic messaging and goals. And boom. So you can upload that document from looking at this PDF, you can ask it questions, and it will basically create awesome content for you. But you have to do that work up front. You can't expect the genius that GPT is to be a genius unless you frame it and you tell it what it needs to do. Otherwise, it'll give you somebody else's marketing. So you can actually then create a GPT that's trained on your business that'll basically be your marketer. So you could upload, once you've done that, you'll have a link and you can basically ask that link every day to create a blog post, create a blog post, create webinar content, create technical white papers, create success guides, create all this awesome stuff because it's trained on your business. So I went through this pretty quick, but give me a yes or no in the chat if you understand what I'm talking about here. If this makes sense to you. Give me a yes or no if this makes sense to you. Yes. Joe Wynn. Pridnia. Yes. Okay, that's great. So how are you using generative AI now to amplify your sales or marketing for your business? Give me a 0 to 5 on the chat. How are you using it? 3. So Joe, you're probably using it, but are you using it to the extent that we're talking about now, where you really take the time to train it? So it is next level. It's going to reduce your marketing spend because you will have given it what it needs to know so you can create great content. All right. So this is what we help save our CEOs from a world where your messaging sounds just like every other messaging out there. Because when you're inside the box of your solution, it's hard to see how customers see you. So before Masood, frustrated with sales, were declining 30 demos to one sale. Oh my gosh, my heart goes out to him at that time, really suffering. Large sales team with turnover. After these shifts taking place, this is the place they got to naming the category of intelligent recovery and tripled the at-bats, doubled win rates in 2 months, and new salespeople were closing deals. Really, really happy for them. So this is the magnetic messaging framework that I promised to you, and it has these building blocks. And so you can just see here on the screen, this is what you're going to download. You can go section by section, and you can probably interpret this to say, well, do you have these sections? So these are examples of that. So I don't have time to go into how these sections work, but this is actually going to impact your SEO because if you could actually have words in the problem section that are in the language of your customer, so it's not solution language, it's like our business is much more complex now than it was when we started, and we've outgrown our kitchen table CPA and need broader advice. These are the words of their customers. And so SEO in 2024 is more about the words that people are using to describe their problem, because that's what people are typing in and speaking to the AIs. So these words need to show up on your homepage in a problem section. Um, All right, so in this is what's in the magnetic messaging framework, the plan section, call to action, which is a booking form, so much better than a form. You put your name, your email address, which then sends an email off and then gets lost in the back and forth. Does Tuesday at 2 o'clock work for you? No, it doesn't. Much better to have something as simple as a Calendly to commit to that time. All right. So I know I'm going super, super fast. Let me uh, just say don't hire a marketer, hire a sales enabler as that outsider. And you want to turn your presentation into a set of conversations. We really don't have that much time to go into what those conversations need to look like. But if you want to screenshot this, I know I'm blocking a couple pieces here. I'm just going to get out of the way. This is the Bible you should use for the 12 essential conversations that every sale requires. You need to have these conversations. Sometimes they last only 10 seconds, sometimes they last an hour, but these are the ones you need to have. And a lot of these conversations can be had on your homepage as well. So, just to recap, the secret weapon, which is the fifth shift, is an outside expert who's going to work with you to refine the story, redesign your homepage, sales deck, and marketing material, and then use that finished framework to train data, GPT data, a GPT, to then generate oodles of 100% on brand content. All right, so this is what you need to win. Just to recap the 5 shifts: lead a movement, start with the problem, make your customer the hero, name your category, and use the secret weapon. These are the 5 shifts. Okay, so now you have a choice. You can either go it alone or you can get expert help. I want to encourage you, if you want to make these shifts, to get expert help. And this is what I have for you. Like I mentioned at the beginning, book some time with me and with that QR code, and let's do like a sales and marketing gap audit. Let's give you some recommendations and get a game plan to getting it done. This is absolutely free if you qualify. And now I've got the goodies for you. So let me give you the goodies. The goodies are this magnetic messaging framework. Let me go here in the handout. Uh, all right, share handout. So that, tell me on your screen, do you see the handout there? You can download that now. That's the magnetic messaging framework. And I have another goodie for you, and that is the GPT messaging, homepage messaging evaluator. So I'm going to put here in the chat this link, and you could use it if you pay for the $20 per month, um, $20 per month GPT, OpenAI GPT, which you might do. Let's go into the chat, and I'm putting this in here. So in that link, the chat.openai.com is the homepage messaging evaluator. So you can put in your URL and it will provide the 12-part assessment and give you a score like 80%, 70%, or a failure score of how well your current homepage um, follows these conversational pieces and gives you some suggestions, which is awesome. All right, so questions. Let's open it up to questions or concerns or uh, what are your thoughts here? I know I'm clicking through lots of stuff, but let's just get to that QR code and here. What are your questions? Let's look at who we have. We've got Lynn, Matt, Amanda, Joe, Justin, Dean, Marissa, Richard, Dorian, Pradnya, Mary, Derek, Mark. Type in the chat. What are your questions, thoughts? Which one of these 5 shifts that you think you need to really make or want to make that you think is really going to help? All 5. Thanks, Andy. Yeah. Which one of these 5 shifts? Uh, so what do we have? These 5 shifts here. Which one? Type in the chat. Which one of these 5 shifts do you think that you need to make is the most important for you? Yeah. Richard, name your category. Lead a movement. Make your customer the hero, Dana, and the secret weapon. Yeah. Which one of these shifts really you think is the most important for you to make? Name your category and lead a movement. Yeah. Thank you, George. I know that we're going to be working together on that. I appreciate you being here and in support of this conversation. It's important, George, don't you think? George, I mean, George, you're a customer of ours, so I appreciate you being here. So what would you type in the chat advice to the folks that are not here or are not customers? You know, what is your advice to them about which one of these you think is the most important? Um, all right. Looks like John is just joining the masterclass. John, you're a little bit late, but we love you anyway. Absolutely appreciate you being here. Start with the problem, Dean. Absolutely. That's great. So, all right, guys. So we are nearly at time. It's been an hour and 10 minutes. I do love you. I appreciate you. I have built my business to support you guys, to support your businesses, because I believe that you guys are here because you love your customers as well, and you want to help them thrive and succeed, and you pour your love into your business so that that's the goal, so you can help them be secure and be successful. And that's why I'm in business too. So if this resonated with you and if you'd like some help, book your session now. Just, the caveat here is that you are qualified. And qualified, I think I've got a slide here that talks about qualification. Yeah, you need to have a viable product with happy customers. If you don't, do not book. If you aren't committed to your vision, do not book. If you're okay with your business is, do not book. If you aren't challenging the status quo, you're just selling another minivan, so to speak, do not book. If you can't or won't invest time and money in your business because it take an energy, I would say, do not book. So those are the caveats there because I don't have unlimited time in my business to do these have these meetings. All right. So any questions? Thank you, Andy. Always great content. Appreciate the invite. Love you, Andy. You're selling an awesome product. Every hospital should sell your product. Let me just do a quick infomercial for Andy's product. Andy sells this innovative product for hospitals and operating rooms that limits or lowers the waste that happens in hospitals by sanitizing things and destroying it quickly and easily. So great product Andy is selling. Absolutely, Derek. Thank you for your time. Dana, thank you guys. Uh, I really appreciate you and I appreciate your business. And I honor you guys for spending time thinking about your messaging and your marketing. With that, Godspeed. Have a wonderful Valentine's Day. Give your loved ones, your Valentines, a big hug and a kiss because they make life worth living. And Godspeed. See you guys soon.